Hello, everybody. Much delayed and underpaid. We watched Den of Thieves like 2 weeks ago. Parabellum or whatever.
Den of Thieves 2 Pantera.
Whatever. Den of Thieves Panera bread. So, Aiden, what's the plot of Den of Thieves 2?
Den of Thieves 2 is the follow-up to a movie no one expected to ever get a follow-up. It is a heist movie. Gerard Butler goes to Ice Cube's son and says, "You're the greatest heister in the world, and I'm gonna join you." And then they do a heist. That's kind of all there is to say about the plot. Realistically, most of it is just the planning and operation of the heist. So Connor, what'd you think of Den of Thieves 2 Pantera?
I thought Den of Thieves 1, not Pantera, was Mile 22. And I don't know if I'm remembering Mile 22 right. I don't remember this movie right, but I thought it would be Mark Wahlberg and 50 Cent doing a heist with Ice Cube's son. But it turns out it was Gerard Butler and Ice Cube's son in a sequel to Den of Thieves, a movie I have no recollection of, but we did watch. Ice Cube's son is back, and he wants to do a heist. No one really seems very excited to be there, and the first half hour of the movie is really dry exposition.
Oh yeah, probably more than the first half hour. The first
45 minutes.
It's long as
Ice
fuck.
Cube's son does a heist to get a diamond, and then he tries to sell those diamonds in Paris, and that's the first 45 minutes while Gerard Butler drinks Diet Coke and drives around and says, "God damn, I want to get Ice Cube's son arrested." And then eventually they meet up, and from there the heist aspects were kind of okay, but I was pretty much checked out at that point. I thought the movie was pretty boring. I think the movie looked really nice, which is going to be part of a theme of this catch-up trilogy we're doing. Stay tuned for the other two videos with disregarding the movie we watched tonight. But anyways, I mean, it was a really nice looking movie. I thought 2.5 hours was a little excessive. I'm not saying they had to rush it. I think the movie could have easily been 2 hours. I think there should have been a little setup and then a heist. When I think of a movie like this, I think of like Ocean's 11, where George Clooney's like, "God damn it, my wife kicked me out or something. Time to get the band back together," and then they do a heist.
Yeah.
And then his wife falls back in love with him, and then they all like walk off as dramatic music plays, and they talk about how they just stole like $1 billion or whatever, and how everyone's take home was $2 million, and now they're gonna live a great life until 2 years from now when they have to like steal for the government or some shit. And that's what this movie should have been. But rather, they took a little too long to set up the actual plot. The gangster conflict was just kind of something that was happening. The heist itself was something that was kind of just happening. I think what really deflates the movie is the setup, because it seemed like the movie got better. But I was half-assed paying attention by the end, to be honest. I thought the sound design was good. I thought a lot of it was well done. I just thought the editing and how the movie was paced and just how it went was fairly bloated, like Ice Cube's son in this movie. Yeah, I mean, it was fine. It was okay. It's definitely like a January release through and through. Like, if this came out in the summer, I don't think anyone would give it a pass. But I think people kind of give it I think
It was a mega boomer movie to fill a slot in January.
Yeah. I prefer my heist movies weird and exciting, like the Ocean's movies or something. Or just like bombastic action. I don't want like a very frank telling of how this heist would happen or would open, and like all the setup and planning and just people sitting in rooms talking. Ice Cube's talking, and then there's a girl that's talking, and there's guys that are talking, and Gerard Butler's drinking Diet Pepsi.
Gerard Butler and Ice Cube's son become friends, and they cry, and they talk about their fathers, and anything but getting on with the movie.
For a while, it becomes kind of a buddy film between Gerard Butler and Ice Cube's son, which I think would have been fine. It was fine. That part was fine. But then the movie's like how Gerard Butler turns him in because like old habits die hard or something, but then he helps him break out.
He had a good heart.
The movie had like 20 fucking endings where it was like, we got the diamond, looks like we win, everybody, and they're high-fiving, they're like, everybody got $1 billion, but wait, Gerard Butler called the cops on him, but wait, Ice Cube Jr.'s in prison, but wait, Ice Cube Jr. gets taken off by a jet to some mysterious land, but wait, the cartels come to save him. And it's like, okay, just fucking end already.
Yeah.
The movie wasn't good enough to do this, and I also think, like, I don't know, like, I imagine Den of Thieves did fine monetarily back in, like, 2018 or 2017 when this movie was made, but did it warrant a late-era sequel where they're gonna act like you're nostalgic for these characters that no one remembers? And also, it's like, it's not like back in the day where it's like you can make this long-term DVD, and throw it in the Walmart bin, and people buy like the 2 Den of Thieves movie collection. You can monetize it that way for the rest of time. Like,
no, this is just gonna get slapped on the primer.
Oh yeah, it's probably, I mean, I know we waited 2 weeks to review this movie, bro. It's probably already on Prime. Genuinely.
Yeah.
Like, the way shit turns around these days, and yeah, I don't know. This seems like a movie that you'd watch on a Sunday afternoon and then just get really depressed like halfway through it, but not turn it off. And you're like thinking like your kids detest you, your wife hates you, everybody hates you, so I'm just drinking a beer watching Den of Thieves with my hand on my balls or something. That's the vibe I get from Den of Thieves 2 Panera Bread edition. So Aiden, what did you think of Den of Thieves 2?
Den of Thieves 2 is a good little boomer action flick with a horrible first act. The first act goes on for fucking ever. This movie's 2.5 hours long. It should have been an hour 45. In and out. You get the setup. You get the scene where Ice Cube steals the wrong diamond and gets the mafia after him. And then you just go for it. You just pedal to the metal. You just gotta push into it. You can't have all this setup. You can have a few of their little bromance scenes, but not too many. You just gotta. This movie should have trimmed like 40 minutes. It was just way too long. Once it gets past the initial setup, it's pretty fun. It's a more grounded heist movie. It's not like Ocean's 11 where it's like this over-the-top, elaborate
break into the safe at the Caesar's Palace or whatever.
Like fancy shooting and this like cartoonish Wile E. Coyote plan where they use a bunch of mirrors to steal the money and shit. It's just like they memorize the camera schedules and they run around and some stuff goes wrong and they have to shoot a police officer and they spray sticky shit on the heat sensor to not get caught. It's a lot more grounded, but the heist scenes are very fun when it finally gets to that. The endings, the several endings are kind of stupid. I think if you're going to go for the betrayal, after they have their little happy dinner, their happy last post-heist dinner, and then Ice Cube's getting dragged away by the cops, and he looks around the corner and sees Gerard Butler in the bulletproof vest standing there, like Mr. Monk in Pain and Gain. And then you just cut the credits from there instead of doing like the 9 additional endings where Gerard Butler's like, I'm really sorry I betrayed you, man. You should go join the mafia or whatever. Yeah, the center part is fun. When it gets to it, it's a nice little boomer action heist movie that's a little more grounded than the genre typically is. I thought once it got going, it got going pretty damn well and was really enjoyable, and they really just needed to.
I think the other problem
trim the fat quite a bit.
Sometimes it isn't that grounded though. Like when when he saves Ice Cube, Gerard Butler says sit on the left side because he knew the mafia was gonna save him on the left, or blow up the right door or whatever to get him out. But like Gerard Butler's hunting down these criminals and has like a heart of gold. How the fuck did he get in contact with the mafia so that he could be like, Ice Cube's gonna be on this prison transfer? But also, how did he know about the prison transfer? But then like he tells the mafia about the prison transfer, but says like, you don't gotta save him. I'm not gonna be involved. But like, here's when it's leaving, and here's like the itinerary for that because for some reason I have this, and then the mafia saves Ice Cube Jr. because they're so
that whole shit
impressed
was
with him.
stupid.
Like it
They
gets
wanted to
really
set up-
fucking stupid at the end.
They wanted to set up a sequel for a movie that won't come out till like 2033. No one's gonna remember even worse. But you know, outside of some really bad additional endings on top of the ending there should have been, and a lot of setup, like a ridiculous, ungodly amount of setup to get to the point. If you fixed up the pacing of this movie a little bit by chopping most of the first act out, you'd have a banger boomer movie on your hands. It was pretty fun once it got going, honestly. Connor, would you recommend Den of Thieves 2 Pantera?
No. There's better things you could do with your time. It's not entertaining enough. It's occasionally entertaining in the middle, but most of the movie is just like the start and the end. Like the first act won't start and the third act won't end. That's the movie. And half of the movie is really boring exposition or nonsensical shit or one good heist in the middle. And it took some balls to make this movie like 2.5 hours long. I couldn't even recommend it for
2.5
streaming
hours
because
long is
I
crazy.
feel like, would I ever like legitimately choose to watch this movie again if I saw it come across my streaming? No. So I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say hard pass. Like, it's not the worst thing that exists in January, but it's too long, bro. Too long. So Aiden, would you recommend Den of Thieves 2?
I'll give it a streaming recommend. I think it's a nice enough weekend movie that you don't gotta pay too much attention to. If you're really committed to the bit, just hit the fast forward button and skip the first 30 minutes. Once Gerard Butler and
Or watch like
And
the
Ice
first
Cube,
heist where he gets the diamond and then he's like, I really need to sell this diamond.
you gotta watch the
And then he
opening
goes to
scene.
South Africa and he's like, can I get this diamond? And then you
watch,
fast forward.
Watch the first heist, fast forward, and once you see Gerard Butler and Ice Cube hanging out, then you can
Press play.
well, actually, there's like a lot of that, but you can skip a little bit of that. But once it starts looking like the heist is happening, you can unpause it and continue. And you'll have a
Once
good time.
the scene gets boring, just start skipping scenes until it looks like the movie's no longer boring.
Yeah,
And then it'll be like 45 really good minutes.
Exactly. That's how you do it.